coach. Everyone right now is saying, do your calls, work harder. And I'm like, you only have 24 hours. You're a people pleaser, or are you a manipulator? If someone says, hey, can I just be true with you? What feeling do we get? Finally,
yes.
You can have the best business in the world if that business is a car. As in the analogy, what do you bet on? Do you bet on the fastest car, or do you bet on the best race car driver? Do you bet on the jockey, or do you bet on the horse? You say you're on a country road and a deer jumps out over, and what do? Fear goes, turn, okay? And then fear. So what happens is this fear, if it was a person, how disrespectful this world has been. My belief is you start every relationship chasing the referral, not the sale.
Right. I used to chase the ROI all the time, return on investment. And over the course of time, that has evolved into what I call return on life. Welcome back to the Return on Life podcast. I'm Randy Dyck, and I have an amazing guest with me today. But let's remember what return on life really means. So many times in my life, I've chased the ROI first and forgot about life. But today, we're talking about the return on life, replacing ROI with the return on life. Hashtag ROL. And so that brings me to my amazing guest, which has really found what I believe is return on life. And that is Ben Oosterveld. Ben has been an amazing agent in Edmonton for many, many years. In fact, his first year, get this, his first year without really even having business cards, he told me, sold 75 to 85 homes in his first year. Was a team lead, built an amazing team there in Edmonton for many, many years, almost a decade, and then said, listen, I have so much more in life, or I have so much more to give than just doing sales. And so what Ben's done is he's transitioned to being an amazing coach. And we're going to dive into some really, really cool stuff today about coaching, about life, about return on life. In fact, he's got a great book called The Richest Real Estate Agent: How to Build a 7-Figure Business Without Sacrificing Relationships. So can't wait to dive into this. Ben, thank you for being here today. I'm so excited to be sharing this moment, this podcast with you. So welcome here.
So great to be here, honestly. Let's rock and roll, man. I love it. I love hanging out with you, and let's dig in.
Really rock and roll?
Whatever. Let's go. If it's, that would make good, we could probably clip that.
Yeah. First off, I have to say, I'm really impressed with your suit jacket. You've really stepped up your game with wearing suit jackets.
Yeah,
I think I'm
That's
probably a little bit of inspiration for that for you.
I thought I better dress up for this one.
Oh, awesome. Hey, well, tell us a little bit about that transition from being a real estate agent, a leader, and then saying, hey, there's more for me to give. There's a different calling in my life than just doing production.
Yeah,
Share a little bit about that and maybe the journey that brought you to that decision.
So a little bit of a tweak in the story. I was always a business coach, became a real estate agent as a case study. And so most real estate coaches become coaches because they get tired of the business, and they're salesmen that actually just get tired. And they're like, I'm going to coach now. So just to be clear, I was a real estate investment. I was already an entrepreneur. I was building businesses. And the reality was I started coaching real estate agents amongst all kinds of different people. But when you're a business coach and you say, I'm a business coach, and you don't have a niche, you're almost invisible. So niching it out, I went, well, I'm going to help these real estate guys. I've been an investor for years. Then I also started seeing super big spikes, like a hockey stick in their sales jumping up when I started working with them. But the thing was, the real heart of it was I was helping them with their confidence, mindset, and belief systems, as well as sales. And that was like, okay, this is really interesting. And then I saw the market, and I'm like, well, no one's really doing high level client care because they get so busy that they can't do it any longer. So I thought, I'm a business guy. I'm like, what if I built all the systems out and do what I would just build a business, like buying a restaurant, you hire your staff, you get your stuff together. So I thought, taking it that way when everyone else is taking it as a sales guy, I thought, okay, let's do this. So I actually convinced like 12 agents that I was coaching. I said, I got a deal for you. I said, here's the price of this program.
Well, you're good at sales, so convincing them wasn't that hard.
That's right. And so it's like, look, I got 12. I said, I'm going to start this career, and I'm going to do it one time, and I'm the case study, but I'll do it with you. I said, this will be the only time you'll see me literally start to finish. So that's why it's like every week we were meeting at the Edmonton Real Estate Board, and every single week it was a sales and marketing focused course. And so that year I became Rookie of the Year. Sold a whole whack of houses. I think my biggest month in my first year was $96,000 in my first year. Wow. And I had already I had a buyer's agent and assistant within a few months, like just had to scale, right? So I hired an assistant before I even had any sales.
I want to back up.
Sure.
You started training agents the day you started selling real estate?
Before.
Yeah. Before. I did not know that.
Oh, you didn't? Yeah, I had Jordan Sites. I got lots of clients that were working with me. Yeah.
And is that what inspired you to get your real estate license?
Yeah.
Because you're coaching these agents, you saw, gosh, there's a big gap here that I could really take advantage of.
Totally. And I thought I would really kill it. I thought this is going to be super easy because I honestly looked at the competition. Well, in one sense, understanding that client experience, playing the long game and putting in systems, this is where it falls apart because everyone is just salespeople. And you're taught to sell. GCI is a salesman's metric. Every trainer, every coach, everyone right now is saying, do your calls, work harder. And I'm like, you only have 24 hours. I'll just beat you with scale. Like you can't even come close. I'll have 2 or 3 people working for me within like a few months. I'll have systems so I never get burnt out. And so I thought, I'm going to give this a go. I thought it was like a sure bet for me because I've been in sales for a long time, right? And I thought, what if we just turn it into a business? And I genuinely was curious to see, but I thought this will be fun and it won't be too hard.
For our viewers, what was the sales position you held before real estate? I think people would like to know that.
Yeah. Lots from all the way from selling chocolate bars as a kid. I won every single competition. It was just ridiculous. Door knocking and everything as a kid. But career-wise, I sold office furniture in a company called Gunner Office Furnishings out of Calgary. I was too young for the business. I got headhunted. I was working at a rehab center, the one I actually graduated from, as a PR guy. And I put my resume out. The vice president and I sat and talked in the company. I was way younger than everyone else because it's not just a furniture store. It was a manufacturer. And we were dealing with large oil companies, massive associations, like floors of furniture. So it's not like a little company. It was like we had to do consulting and everything. So went through that. And the last 12 months I was there, I sold $2.5 million of desks. I landed Husky. I landed the Calgary School Board. And it was just like, and then just being an entrepreneur and a little bit wild at the time, I'm like, this is too small for me. And I like self-sabotaged in some level. I'm like, I'm going to be a real estate investor. So I quit my job and just said, let's go. And I ended up buying 41 properties in 14 months.
Wow.
We did have the boom happening. So that's obviously a big disclaimer. Probably couldn't do it again like that. But the fact is I had 4 cities. I had 15, 20 investors. We ended up holding 61 properties into the crash.
Ouch.
So we did okay considering, but the thing is though, I still have a small holdings of real estate still. But that process was about 5-6 years of just doing real estate investing. Just wild, hey? Like, I'm out of here. I was making 150 grand as a sales guy and I'm like, quit, no plan. And I started doing real estate investing.
Right into investing. And then you just rolled investing for 5 or 6 years.
Yep.
And then you got your license.
Hit the crash when everyone in the world, I'm in my 20s, everyone in the world is like not investing. Like financial planners are jumping out of buildings. I didn't have that perspective when I was young. I thought, oh no, I don't know what to do. That was the most incredible, deep pain going, I have all these people's money. And it's like, I have good investments, but we have a market that's never seen before. And I thought it was me. How did I mess this up? But now hindsight, I'm like, oh, I actually navigated that very well compared to some other stories I've heard.
So, I mean, that's interesting. Yeah. When things get really, really difficult, people throw themselves out of buildings.
Yeah, man.
Having invested many people's money, hundreds and hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars.
Yeah.
How did you cope through that? How did you work through that with the people, with yourself? How did you come out the other end?
So
what are the lessons you learned? Like, that's big stuff.
A lot of stuff is good. It was the market. The problem is my character was still people pleaser, performance mindset. So I was number one or I was nothing. That dichotomy is not a good human to live with, because when I'm winning, I'm the best. When I'm not, I'm an asshole. And back in the day, because I lived on the streets, gone through an abusive childhood, all these things, you've got these leftover things that you're living with that you're trying to figure out that are playing into all of this. So that guy was not fully whole, but I was getting there. I was working on it. But that was insane because now I'm thinking I'm letting everyone down. And if someone thinks right now to be, what does that be? What it would feel like if I said, hey, you let me down. It is so heavy for someone that puts their value in being a good person, puts their value in not hurting anyone, and you're a good person, and then all of a sudden you're letting people down. You promised, now your word's on the line. Like, hey, we're going to do good in this investment. Holy crap. Now it's like, am I a liar? No, but it felt like this was dark. I'll tell you, can I share one story?
Yeah.
I was at my desk and I didn't know what to do. Like, how do you navigate it? And know what's crazy? No one did. I didn't know that I was not the only person on the planet that was in a situation during that crash that didn't know what to do. My own father was a financial planner. He didn't know what to do. Like, and
with years and years of experience.
30 years.
Wow.
And I'm like, so I learned that later. But in that moment, I'm like, what do? I don't know. And I wasn't as bad as I thought. I just didn't know. So I put my head on the desk and I just started crying. And I just didn't know what to do. I just broke. And the pressure of having all of these people asking me what to do and being a people pleaser and having my own stuff. And I'm a good human. And it's sitting there. And I went into a vision. The craziest pressure triggered a vision. I don't know what the heck it is, but here's the vision. All of a sudden, I'm in the ocean. And I'm looking, and it's as I'm going deeper and deeper. Like, so my head's on there, I'm crying. I'm seeing myself go into this ocean. And what's happening is it's getting darker and darker and darker. And then the pressure is getting higher and higher and higher. Every single thing inside me said, get the frick out, swim back to the top. Let's get back. You need air, you're under pressure, and you can't see. Now you're in this scary place. And the little voice inside says, keep going, keep going. So I thought, okay. And I'm like, why? Why do I need to keep going? And this little voice said, because that's where the sunken treasure is. And I was like, holy crap. So I just kept going and going. And it was like this little thing going, you will never be in this place again. This is your chance to get this treasure. It was like this beautiful vision, God or whatever. And I'm just, it was one of those things that gave me such incredible peace. And man, did I learn lessons. So I leaned into it. I didn't run from it. I leaned into it. I met with every investor. We talked about different scenarios, talked about where they're at. We walked through all of these things. There's a handful that hate my guts because of it, but most of them I was honorable and everything was good. We ended up having great buyout or different scenarios to walk through, but I went head to head with every single one. And we walked through it and we worked through it. And people all had different portfolios. I have a portfolio and that was what I did. And I leaned through it. So I feel like that's a chink in my belt where I'm like, man, I got some real lessons there on what it's like. But that was hard.
Wow. Two things I heard there. One was people pleaser.
Yeah.
And then the other was the art of communication. So many of us go through life just trying to please people.
For sure.
And in that moment, you couldn't please them.
Possible.
And you had to go deep into the communication and get real with people, really honest and real. As painful as that was, and as painful as it was for the other person on the other side of that table. But what can you tell our listeners about that? What is a lesson there about people pleasing and then hitting it directly on with whether it's conflict or discomfort or I don't like this situation? Because I know you're really good at this.
Two things. First, let me just break down people pleasing for 2 seconds. We demonize people pleasing. Oh, I'm a people pleaser. And we speak very negatively about people pleasing. But I still want to please you, Randy. I want to please my clients. So something is wrong with just demonizing people pleasing. So I really thought about it. What we need to demonize is the selfishness behind people pleasing. So if I'm trying to please you because I need to feel better, it's not about you, Randy. But if I'm really trying to please you, and there's no ulterior motive, and my emotions, it's not about making me feel better or avoiding conflict or anything, just literally want to make you happy, that is absolutely beautiful. I think that's love. So we got to be very careful not to demonize it. We just need to get really honest with ourselves going, am I pleasing this person to avoid a negative emotion? That's not people pleasing. That's manipulation.
Right.
And so the problem is we're laying it all going, oh, people pleasing. I'm a people pleaser. That's amazing. That's amazing. You're a people pleaser, or are you a manipulator?
Right.
And that's why we got to be careful not to throw the baby with the bathwater, because I like to please. That never went away. And I'm really whole in so many ways. It just didn't go away. I'm like, I want to please. Like, can I help you? Like, why is that? That's not because I'm insecure or need anything anymore. It's just left over. And I think that's just the human psyche and the human nature, just wanting to love people. Now, that's the first thing. The second thing is the greatest technique I've ever learned was from my mentor, Philip McKernan, and it was the honest conversation. Now, an honest conversation is where, man, being in sales, you know how to lead people. And that's a very powerful tool to lead people through their own objections and help them understand that you're actually trying to help them with the sale. Like when it's an honest sale, it's really helpful to know how to walk them to the sale. Like I want that when I'm buying a TV. I come in, I'm like, well, I don't like this, I don't like this. But Ben, have you thought of this? Oh yeah. No, you're not going to want that one. You're going to want this remote. Oh, don't buy this one. Buy this. I need a good sales guy when he's out for me. So that's what's beautiful. But the problem is when they're in a relationship and we're not in a business relationship, what happens is, let me back up here. Let's go to the business side. Scratch that. When we're in any relationship, honesty is like an honest conversation. This is how I feel. This is who I am. This is my expectations. I have a question without having the ambition to lead it in a way. So it's honesty without expectation.
Okay.
So even in my own marriage, I had to get to a place where I had to let my wife go. And I really wanted her. She was one of the first people that loves me unconditionally. So I would manipulate subtly by saying, if I say it this way, I'll get this result. If I romance her, I'll get this result. So how can you say that's wrong? It is though, because that leaves a little question in her heart. Is he doing it for himself? And so when you back up and go, how do we have the investors, wife, clients, whatever? We have to let them go first, genuinely. That's hard. Mm-hmm. That is a dead honesty in our heart going, I'm ready to let this relationship go. But what I'm going to do is because I care and I want to stay together, I'm just going to put it on the table. Here's where I'm at. Here's how I feel. Now, if that other person is worth anything, they're going to want to talk about it and they'll have more respect for you than you taking care of their emotions. I don't want to make them feel bad. I'll say it this way. That's manipulative in some minute little level. What if it was just real? And it's like, here's where I'm at. So this is what it's like. I'm way better at today. I was forced to have conversations with my investors and be like, look, here's where we're at. I was forced, but the growth I had was with Phil McKernan. And I started with my wife, my kids, friends, because I was such a good sales guy. I had to unwind what was influence and what was relationship, and something that I'm very sensitive about now.
Yeah. We are often social tellers rather than truth tellers, right? We'll package it in a way that socially it's all going to work for all of us.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Rather than truth. And you have to go, sometimes you need something that's so outrageously painful, so painful to actually get to the real truth and not just keep it on that social level.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can relate to that in many of my relationships where, I can just keep it going, just keep the pot, keep it from overboiling. You just kind of
managing it. It's
as
almost
soon as it boils over,
Yeah.
then you got to get really active with it. Yeah. And that's when the truth comes out in most cases.
And if you think about it, if someone says, hey, can I just be true with you? What feeling do we get? Finally.
Yes.
Everyone's a liar. Marketing. Everyone's like Instagram. It is the most incredible thing. If you want to risk yourself and be yourself and be honest, you're the number one, like you'll stand out if it's honesty. Honesty is the number one thing we need to do in business life and everything, because everyone's a liar at some level. Yeah. And we've all been lied to. So when I talk to a new, and even when I talk to someone that's joining my coaching or in coaching, I'll be like, can I get real with you? And they're like, yeah, I'm not, no. Like really real with you. And they're just like, thank you. There's such a thank you. It's a respect they get. Like, you're going to tell me the truth. How would if I said, hey Ben, how do I look? How do I look? I'm like, you look great. And I'm lying. We don't want that. It's like having something on your tooth. I didn't want to bother you. That's bullshit. Tell me I got some shit on my teeth. Like we're so worried about making someone feel bad. I feel like we've lost the connection. of what a real relationship's based on.
Why do we do that? Are we afraid of something? Or we just don't want it to come out?
I think that we don't know how to deal with negative emotions. I don't know how to feel bad. We avoid it like the plague. We taught as little children.
We don't know how to feel, or we don't want to feel?
No, we don't know how to feel bad. And we demonize feeling bad when shame has a place in your life. If you do something shameful, you feel shame, and you should. If you do something that makes someone angry, well, then you need to understand anger. If you think about passion, that's half anger, half love. You put it together, that's passion. Oh, don't be angry. Don't be crying. We have screwed everyone with an emotional intelligence. Like just be happy. It's bullshit. Madness is what fires me up. I'm still pissed at some level. I'm pissed at some level. And I think that's okay to do that. I'm okay. And if you don't like me, I can do it. Like imagine that doesn't throw me off.
Right.
If you disappoint me, it doesn't throw me off. So I can lean right into it and be like, yeah, that sucks. I feel it. We don't have that. So why are we doing all these things? I think we need to feel bad. We need to be really good at feeling bad.
This is awesome. And this is all about who you are. You're about mindset over sales in some cases. Like you teach mindset first. We got to have the right mindset. And understanding who we are, how we work with people is key to all of your coaching.
Yeah, it's all belief systems mindset, because it's like a race car driver. You can have the best business in the world if that business is a car. As in the analogy, what do you bet on? Do you bet on the fastest car, or do you bet on the best race car driver? Do you bet on the jockey, or do you bet on the horse?
Jockey.
Every time. Every business, go watch Dragon's Den or Shark's Tank and everything. They don't bet on the business. They bet on the horse. How much time are we actually building ourselves to be amazing leaders, insightful, self-aware? Like we just do business systems and we do this. So yeah, I'm huge into systems and aftercare systems and hiring and all that. But if you don't have the good operator, all of it doesn't matter. So it's not that I'm just like, this is the only way. It's I have to. These guys aren't going to do all these things. The greatest problem in real estate coaching and real estate periods, they know what to do, but they're not doing it. And then we coach them how to do it again and again and again. And they already know. So why do you think they don't show up? Why do you think you're low value in brokerages and all these different places? Because you're doing the same thing. Hey, let's get you training. I got training. I got Google. Help me know how to get from A to B. How do I get out of my own way? How do I think differently? How do I see myself differently? So that's where all of that's the unlock. It's all the unlock. So that's my rant on that anyways.
Awesome. Hey, well, in this book, you've laid out a lot of that for real estate agents, but a lot of this can be, translated to any real estate. I should say any sales position. Yeah. It's not just business real estate. It's business. It's business. It's business. There's a chapter here on fear. How does fear either become our friend, our foe, get in the way of us being, the real authentic person that we should be?
Yeah.
Talk about fear a bit.
Something I've wrestled with is being fearful. Like it's one of the hardest things, and I demonized fear. Even thinking about growing up in a religious home, it's the devil. It's like fierce. And look
who's the devil?
Well, we demonize things. It's like watch out for the devil. And then they tie fear to this belief system, and then we think fear is bad, and No Fear is a freaking brand. You remember, we're old enough to know No Fear was a massive iconic. I don't know what product it was. Was it Nike? No Fear, maybe? But I remember shirts, No Fear. How about this? Fight your fears. Like, let's go through all the list of different things. We have taken fear. Now, let's think about this. Fear has been serving you your whole life. Every time there's ice on the ground, fear goes, hey, Randy, don't step there, or be careful. You say you're on a country road and a deer jumps out over, and what do? Fear goes, turn, okay? And then fear. So what happens is this fear, if it was a person, how disrespectful this world has been. Fear has been serving you to keep you safe forever. The weird thing is, though, we have zero support and education and awareness around how to deal with emotions.
Right.
Fear is the same as laughter, okay? It's God-given emotions. This is not something we picked up halfway through our life going, no, fear has a purpose, but the problem is we don't know how to deal with all of it, so we think it's bad. The thing is, imagine how stupid it would be if saying, if you laugh, you're bad. Don't laugh. Don't laugh. And every time you laugh, you're like, oh, I need to stop this laughter. That's how I see people with fear. Yeah. Oh, I got to stop. We have to look at fear as a lawyer. Fear is a lawyer. So let's say I'm going to get married. The lawyer says, Ben, here's all the risks that's coming down the way. She's going to take half your money. You have to do a prenup. And I say, no, I want to roll the dice on this girl. I get to decide. Thank you for taking care of me. But I'm going to go and do the 50-50 with my wife, and I'm going to burn my boats with this one. And he goes, well, you're an idiot. So fear says you're an idiot. Fear does this, but it's an absolute servant who's trying to help you stay safe. But you have to understand how to work with a lawyer, because the lawyer's going to help you. Right. Many times a lawyer's going to help you. So we have to understand the role of fear in our lives. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. Fear has motivated me in so many ways. And it depends on, which camp you're in and who is, the leader of that camp decides what the value of fear is. But yeah, gosh, man, when I've been in a fearful moment, I feel it in the pit of my gut. And, we get a lot of value out of what's happening in our tummy. What's your gut telling you? Yeah. Like, that saying. And so fear, man, I've been in situations where, oh man, I got something to do here. I gotta be careful in this moment. Yeah. And that is that good agent.
Exactly. It's like
that good agent called fear.
Exactly.
Helping me in that situation.
But then do you know what's crazy? I have an onboarding and a process we go through with all the agents that join our coaching program. We don't even talk real estate at first. It's called Set Your Compass. Yeah. And one of the sessions is relationship on fear. And I say, if fear was a person, what would you say? So think about this. So if fear was a person, what would you say? Think about it. And 90% of people say F you. 90% use the F word. Wow. 90%. I've done this hundreds of times. It's F you. Get away from me.
So this is great. So fear actually is something that we need to really love on, in a sense. Yeah. So it's a gift, not a curse.
Yeah, exactly.
Not a curse. What are some other gifts that we need to understand that maybe in some ways feel like they're a curse, or people have said they're a curse?
I think it's too vague of a question because there's so many, or there's I think going back to fear for just a second though, if fear is an inborn thing that's part of who we are, okay? Like laughter, joy, love, hate, all this stuff is part of these emotional machine we have. When we hate fear, we hate ourselves. Now show up in your life hating yourself. I've done it. I've tried suicide when I was 15 years old. I know what it's like to be crazy depressed, live in that. And sometimes it shows up still in my life as a residue from living that childhood. When you hate yourself, like we don't want to, that's too aggressive. I'm just not happy. No, you hate yourself because you're hating fear. We have to mend that. If you're going to hit the levels of success, the levels of high potential that's living in your soul, you have to understand that fear is your partner. So we stop sparring with fear and we start becoming a dance partner with fear. We don't need to spar anymore with fear. We need to dance partner, because that's you. That's not a piece of you. Fear is you. Okay. If we can mend that, now we can position ourselves to literally step to the next level. Most people are stuck at some level. This is a huge unlock.
So for our listeners that are listening in right now, what are some of the action steps that they can now apply to their real estate business, their sales business, if they can get a better understanding of this thing called fear?
Yeah. So it's not as easy as a technique. I think we have to start by understanding fear and understanding ourselves. So we need to reframe fear as our friend, not an enemy. We have to understand that's actually who we are. This is something that we don't need to demonize. So I don't think there's a silver bullet, but I do think what we've talked about is going to help people already to shift their mindset and reframe what fear is. And I think about that's from childhood, from belief systems, and I think about the industry of real estate. The problem is that the industry of real estate is all about performance, get to the next level. Like if you sit down with a typical business coach or a real estate coach, they say, how many sales have you done? They'll say 30. You can do 40. Next year, you're 40. You can do 50. It just seems so basic. It's like white belt, because that's not the goal. And the thing is though, when you have this thing where you're never good enough and you're always never quite where you want to be, the problem is we always keep going forward. And then there's that fear that comes in, fear of loss, fear of all these. But what about self-acceptance? See, this ties directly, and this is one of the biggest things I've ever had to happen in my life, is because I was always like, I want to be better. I'm going to work on my crap. I was a hurt kid. So I've been working on myself for a long time. The biggest awareness of like ecstasy that showed up in my life is when I went, I'll never fix myself and I'll never arrive. This was like huge for me. And it's like self-acceptance is not settling. This is what I thought as an A-type performer. No, I'm going to be highest level. Why would I say, you can't be lazy? No. I get up at 3 a.m. and you guys get up at 4? I'm 3. Like just this insane ambition that just still lives in me. But understanding that I am enough today and I've done so much. It's self-acceptance. Yeah, I've got bad days. Yeah, I do have fear. We need to stop the war on fear, and that's self-acceptance. And just from A-type to A-type, that is not settling. It's a chiropractic adjustment, because once you get that war done, now you can really soar. When you're at war with yourself, which is fighting fear. And so this is the thing that needs to stop. So now here's a technique, okay? I look at it really practically for our practical guys. Your brain is in communication with fear. So what happens is if you slipped on the ice once, on that same spot, let's say this beautiful courtyard that's right here, someone slips on the ice, but it was also December 15th and they had just had an ice storm. They slip, they bang their head, break their arm. We have trauma. This isn't this little slip. This is like that fear now goes, this is dangerous. It goes on hyperdrive and it educates your brain with a memory. The brain is only for the brain is to keep you safe. And the problem is if you use it to predict the future, you're going to have really bad data. Because the brain only has historical data. It's like, I fell here, just so you know. Now it's June, beautiful sunny day. The trauma, the fear, and the brain are going to give you some advice. It is not you, it is your advisors. You step outside and it goes, careful, you remember that spot when you got hurt there? Here's the deal, let's walk around that spot. Now we have to take a step of faith. This is the gut you were talking about, going, hold on a minute, something's not right. I need to re-educate my brain and I need to add new data. This is why test, try, break, fix is one of the biggest core belief systems in me, in my business, on how to do anything. You got to move forward to get new data. Okay. So when you're outside, you're going, no, I don't see ice here. Your fear goes, you're going to have trauma again if you go there. Your brain goes, remember the past. And my heart says, no freaking way. I need to, and I take that fear and I step toward it and I work with it. And then my brain goes, oh, in the summertime, you don't got to worry about it. And then fear goes, oh, I got you now. I was giving you bad advice. Next time when it's icy, I'll keep care of you. So the technique is to understand forward motion and to test things and try things. It's the opposite of perfection. Because you're forward motion to collect the data. Go toward the fear in a controlled environment. You don't jump off the building, go, oh, I guess I died. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about old trauma that comes up and reminds you of the old trauma. But is it? So then let's move toward it in a safe way and collect new data. Then guess what happens? Next year, you walk out here, you're confident, you're strong, you're not worried. You're done with it because the brain is now educated.
Powerful, powerful. So speaking of education, fixing something, trying something, doing something different. The way that you have been educating agents on how to do their business is significantly different than most coaches. Most coaches, you're building relationships, referral networks. Talk about that.
Sure.
Help our listeners understand how you see real estate as being almost too easy in some ways.
Yeah, we got to be careful with that because it's really hard, but
it's really hard.
Easy. But yes. To me, it's very simple after 15 years of coaching, and I did the sales coaching. Here's the problem is that every single, let's go to listing. Let's go for coaches that teach you listings. Let's go to lead gen coaches. Let's talk about Instagram influencers. Let's talk about pipelines. Let's talk about door knocking, mail outs. Like every bit of coaching is usually client acquisition. So let's say, awesome. We got that covered. Best industry in the world because there is immense experience. But what if it works? What if it worked? This is the problem. That's the first step. The entire coaching industry is working on step one.
Right.
And then what happens is this. Let's imagine, these agents love their clients. They get such a bad rap because it's not the person, it's the service that gets dropped when they're busy. And then you're like, you're not out for me. You said you cared about me and you're not answering your phone. You're not following up. I didn't want to have that experience. They're saying, I'm just too busy. So what is the number one thing is they think prospecting is the answer. You know what I hate? Nothing to listings can't solve. Like, you know that saying?
Yeah.
Production
nothing solves all problems.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
A budget and a P&L statement is way more important than having more sales. You know how many guys are farther ahead than the $2-3 million dudes because they paid off their cars, run a budget, and has a P&L statement? And anyone listening right now, if you don't know what a P&L statement is, you really need to know. That's the very, very basic fundamentals of a profit and loss.
Yeah.
So what's wrong is we did an amazing job training sales focused. But once you get what I find is 150 to 200 grand stuck. And I seen 300-400 grand, obviously in Vancouver and Toronto and New York City and different places. It might be a little higher, but you get stuck because your referral base never feeds you at one point.
Right.
There's so much leakage in the business because we didn't put in after the sales systems. Because why not look at it like this? Use that amazing sales training. But what we want to do is figure out how to keep those clients for life. Like we think
because they
about,
love you.
Well, yeah.
They already love you.
Just imagine it, like we look at it as a relationship. Imagine this. You meet someone. Let's not look at it as real estate, but we're going to go over top of the buying, selling experience. You meet someone. You're like, I love this guy. Let's hang out. Let's go shoot. Let's go golfing. Let's go pool hall. Every couple of days, you're hanging out with these people showing houses.
Yep.
But during the time, because you're a good person and you know how to connect, they love you. And they're like, wow, Randy, you're the best. You take care of us. You've gone above and beyond. You're doing this. You're bringing coffees. You're doing these things, okay? Which is pure and honest, okay? They then go to the place. You give them the keys and you forget about them. Now, here's the scariest risk that agents take right now. What does it feel like when that happens? Imagine someone being into you, and then all of a sudden they're gone. The question that you remained is, was it real? Did he just want the commission?
Yeah.
So we have to understand the motivation. These people are going to probably give you 3 to 4 referrals. They're going to buy again 2 to 3 times. That's the practical, but there's also the relationship that you're actually potentially being misunderstood because you didn't take care of the relationship long term.
Right.
You were so close. And now it's like, where are they?
Yeah.
So that's the problem. And I hope people can feel the freaking pain of that and think, what about a birthday system? What about a basic email that goes out every month?
Yeah, because I think almost every agent or everybody in sales would like to have that follow-up.
Of course.
And they don't want that relationship to end, but they just get busy and they don't have good systems.
So that's why the original coaching and all the coaching that's out there, I'd love for someone to tell me some difference. I'm examining all the coaching and it's all sales coaching. So what happens? Like front end. So here's an example. When I became an agent, I hired an assistant before I had sales. I sold 5 houses my first month. I also really, really suck at paperwork, being dyslexic, ADD, and all kinds of problems, trauma and all that. I knew I needed help.
Yeah.
And I also built businesses before. So why would I not have someone to do my paperwork? It doesn't make sense to me for $200 a week. Like it's like crazy leverage. Now I'm out selling and servicing and taking care of my family.
Right.
But we need to do that way earlier in the game. So once you have a bit of a pipeline, I think about 15 to 30 leads that are going to buy within the next 18 months, that's when you instantly start flipping over to systems. You put in some systems because once you have 10 or 15 or 20 deals cooking.
But I'll remember all my clients.
Yeah. And until you don't. Yeah. Right.
I know.
Like, I call them every day. I'm like, bullshit. You call them every day. So you have 365 clients.
Yeah.
At what point are you doing 2 calls a day just to say hi to your clients? It breaks eventually. Real estate is desperate need of scale conversation, business conversation. That's why people, when we're talking, they're like, oh, finally. I'm like, yeah, just let's put some aftercare systems, teach you how to hire. But the reason why they don't hire is because, first of all, there's no training out there. Second of all, it triggers every piece of psychology you have. Controlling, perfectionism, and leadership, accountability. Like that assistant is one of the greatest hacks we have when we're coaching. We help them hire an assistant and coach their assistant because once they figure that out, it's not the assistant, it's the hiring of it that actually gives them the growth for long term. Once you figure out how to hire and fire and train an assistant, you've now got 10x scale. Yeah. But that portion right there, I got to service my clients, I'm too busy. So they go and get one sale and they sacrifice the 10x of scale. That's like a rapper song.
Yeah. But here's the deal with real estate.
Sure.
You help somebody today buy a home.
Yeah.
And you may not service them.
Yeah.
From a listing, selling,
like an actual sale, transaction.
Actual sale,
yeah.
But you may not help them again for another 4, 5, 10 years.
Yeah.
And I think this is where agents kind of miss the boat.
Super short-sighted.
Very short-sighted. Because there's so much opportunity for referrals and add-on potential business.
Tons.
Walk our listeners through some of the things that you would recommend, suggest, techniques that you would do to make sure that you've made that sale. Now, what kind of business can you accomplish by having that relationship, and how would you build that relationship?
Let's change our goals from GCI, first of all. Okay. And let's change our goals from a 12-month section. Mm-hmm. Like I think about it, it's like, I'm a $1 million agent. No, I'm not. I did 980. I just missed it. But if you add a month, you're a $1 million agent in 13 months.
Yes.
Like it's so stupid. It's like the 12 months. Like that constraint, why not become a $1 million agent in 2 years? That's $500,000. I'm a $1 million agent. Oh no, it's not real. Why? Who put this 12-month thing on? Like, first of all, that there, and the goal, let's look at the retirement goal. And they should start right out of the training school. This is the one thought that they need to first, before we get into like anything else. Let's stack our clients and let's measure our referral percentage. There's a metric that needs to happen. So let's just imagine.
That's good.
Right? Imagine if you did 500 sales. Randy, how many have you done? Hell of a lot more than that, right?
About 7,000.
Exactly. So let's not use your number, because not one person in this friggin' world is going to probably relate to that. So let's just say 300 sales in your lifetime.
Yeah.
So far, there's 300. Okay.
Right.
The average agent, there's a lot of guys with more, but now let's look at a 10% referral rate from your client base. How many sales? Easy. No marketing, no nothing. Maybe some golf games and some coffees and some lunches. How many sales do you get at a 10% referral rate in your base? 30. What's the $30,000? What's the average sale in, let's say, Vancouver? Because it's really high.
Call it 20 grand.
So 2 times 3, what does that work out to be? $500,000
or more.
Okay. Yeah. Let's just say $500,000. Now let's go 10 years. What's the number? $5 million mother freaking dollars. And you're busy looking at how to do a funnel on lead gen when you've got this base that you're not taking care of. Yeah, you're short term for sure. Sure. But if you can just put 30% of your energy into keeping them, this is the problem. Now let's go back. When we're starting as an agent, we have to, if we're thinking of this as our goal, my belief is you start every relationship chasing the referral, not the sale.
Right.
If I'm chasing the sale, what can you do for me? But if I'm chasing the referral, I want 20-year friendship. And that means I might not ever make a sale. Genuinely at the core of your own being, if it's genuinely referral chasing, you're looking at genuine relationships. It's very integral to, if only you will know.
That is good. That is good.
So what happens is this. I got thinking about it. What's the greatest hack in keeping a client for 20 years? See, we're already talking about a different conversation. By changing the goal, we start changing what you focus on grows. Okay. What you focus on grows. So we need to change the focus off GCI, off 12-month freaking rewards, and think about 20 years down the way and the $5 million I want. And it's easy money if you do it right. And so what I'm going to do is think, how do I keep a client for 20 years? Let's go to the person that would never leave me. Let's just say it's my mom. So let's model after a real connection, not after some bullshit strategy on how to mirror people and how to touch them with fucking muffin recipes. It's like, how do we actually build a relationship? Well, guess what? My mom changed my diaper. So we had some vulnerability. We had some things. She knows me truly and she accepts me. So when she comes to saying, I need to sell my house, does she interview 3 agents?
No.
Not a freaking chance. So it could be your best friend. It could be that these people don't interview anyone. You could be twice as much money. Doesn't matter. You're my guy. How do we recreate that? And that now is relationships. That takes time. The biggest one is you got to grow yourself. If you're at war with yourself, that's going to be a hard relationship. If you're a manipulator, it's going to be hard. The first thing is human development. First of all, and living a life that you freaking love. When I go on my electric unicycle and then I go onto a coaching session, I give 10x the energy to the people I love because I've worked out my own stuff. When I play hockey, we don't understand the value. And this is why we're out together. Me and you connect, return on life, build a life you love. Let's go. Because that actually is a very good business strategy because your energy matters. Yes. So how do we do this? I'll give you an example. Response time. Okay. That's a big one. Practical way, response time. But because it says, I see you, you're valuable, but again, you need scales for response time. You need to have scale. So that's what killed. That's a breakable system.
Yep.
But the mindset behind longevity is this: I see you, I hear you, I love you. Now, what a weird concept. We should be talking about making calls and objections and friggin' scripts and all this bullshit. That it has its place. But again, that's in the first part of the coaching. If you want longevity, you're going to figure out how to feel love for each other. What a weird thing. How do I see you, hear you, love you? How many people really get you? Like, let's think about it. How many get you? That's pretty small amount. Maybe 3, 4. Like, how many people actually get you? That's a very awakening question, because my wife, does she really get me, Randy? I don't know. I think so. But even have that doubt in my mind with my wife, how could I get to the place where it's like, man, Ben gets me? And that's where I'm all in for 15 years. That's why one at a time, blow their mind, get results for people. They don't leave my world because they go, Ben gets me. Yeah. And I think if we can focus on that, like when someone gets you, you're like all in. But if we're doing it as a sales technique, it's still manipulation. So it's a very fine line, right? So first of all, what can we do to say, I see you, I hear you, I love you? Now, that mindset with the goal of referral, with the goal of long game, I'll tell you a story. My first year in the business, saw a ComFree sign. So the people that don't know ComFree, it's pretty much a for sale by owner, low budget kind of listing option. So I had an open house, signs all the way everywhere, right? I was door knocking. I had like all kinds of business going on in this area, but I was like year 1.5. Lady calls me, you know the call. I'm done at 4:15. She's like, well, I'm trying to find this open house. Like, she's kind of got this, like you're just right away, like you could be triggered so easily. And then she's like, well, you said till 4. I'm like, well, it's 10 after 4. Well, you know what? She's pissy at me. And I said, well, how about I just book a showing and I'll come do it with you? Okay. So showed her the house. Okay. Then of course, as a sales guy, I'm like, what do you have to sell? People don't even do that part anymore. Like, you know what I mean? If you actually think so I find out I'm listed and I'm not needing an agent. No problem. I said, how about this? Why don't I come over? I said, you're in my neighborhood. I will never ask you to list this property with me. I promise you, I will never list it. But I'd love to help you, and let me come price your home. That's something different. So I did the work for free. Genuine, not secretly doing the bait and switch at all. I will help you sell it. And if it hasn't sold yet, I'll tell you why it's not selling, and I'll set you up on some searches and stuff so you can monitor your sale, okay? Because I need to deliver value. That's honest value. If I can honestly help her, not like help her so I can get the sale. That's way different. So I went into her kitchen. I have the chance of connecting as I see you, I hear you, I love you. That's what I need. So I'm listening to her story. She's single. She talked about the Scientology style church she's at. And she talked about, I'm listening to just listening, and not listening so I can find a mirroring situation, so I can build rapport. No. Genuinely just wanted to know this person. So we started showing houses. She's like, can you be my buyer's agent? Absolutely. I didn't say I wasn't going to do that, but I also wasn't like, sure, we're building a relationship. I'm like, whatever happens, happens. So now I'm showing properties. She's like, this is great. Now where she goes, Ben gets me, because I'm the only agent that offered help for her, because she is the one you want. The one that's like, I don't deal with real estate agents. Guess what her news story is? I only deal with one. That's the one you want, because she's going to be like this to everyone. Absolutely. So we had to understand, do a little bit of a little extra for these guys that are a little pissy, because what if they're loyal and they're fighters and they're like, a people pleaser doesn't refer you. No. Someone that's a bit of a sharp asshole, they're going to be like, don't use this guy, hire this guy. So I'm like, so there's some thought behind it. So anyways, I start serving her, and she's blown away by just the connection and service and response time, blah, blah, giving her thank you cards and buying some coffees, just like normal, old school, right? Yeah. It's crazy when that's not happening. It blows my mind. So here's the end of the story. She goes, can my friend come and just tour with us? Yeah, absolutely. This is like close to my first year. So she starts touring. Now they're like, we love this guy. So I'm sitting at their table and we're writing offer. We're just kind of doing this. And again, I'm just trying to help her sell her house for free the whole time. I'm like, here's the feedback. I'll help you with the contracts. Literally, honestly, for free. So what happened was, because I understand the long game. I understand that if I build a relationship, I guarantee you I'm chasing a referral right now. Yeah. See, if I get to a place, so I was chasing the referral, do enough work. I don't need the sale. I need you to tell everyone that I'm the guy. So that's a different behavior. So anyways, the lady, we're writing an offer, and her friend goes, hey, can you be my agent too? And I said, sure. She goes, my agent just sold their house. just sold my house and I need to buy something. I'm like, oh, I said, if you're under a contract, I honestly can't help you. So like, darn it, right? Next thing you know, we go out, we go and do another round of showings. Yeah. We're at the table again. And she says, hey, Ben, you're my agent. I'm like, what? I paid $1,500 to get out of the buyer's contract.
Wow.
You're my guy.
Wow.
Chase the referral.
Chase the referral.
I never chased that sale, not even a freaking second. This is called setting up the connection. Then if I don't have birthdays, follow-ups, events, coffees, all the other stuff, that's like, they're going to think, oh, he just wanted the sale still. So we have a responsibility to build out our back end, which is going to buy the life you love because your business grows while you're on holidays. So we ended up I paid for her lawyer fees, I paid for her inspection, and I made sure she got most of her money back. But that's the story. That's the idea of chase the referral. And that gives you the opportunity to keep the client for 20 years. But that all started with a new goal, not the GCI and not a 12-month goal. Wow. It's how do I keep the client for 20 years?
Wow. That was the biggest hack you're going to hear on this podcast in a long, long time. Chase the referral. Chase the referral. That was really impressive. Tell us a little bit about your coaching program, because sure. I think at this point, our listeners are going, there's some real value here. Fill us in a little bit about your coaching program as we close out today's podcast.
For sure. We handpick every single person that comes in our program. First thing we do is a clarity call to make sure that we try to help you through a clarity call for free. If you want to go to the next step, it's a business assessment with me or my team where we literally qualify and find the areas where you're stuck. We spend a literal coaching session for an entire hour unpacking your business. At that point, if we think that we can help you, I'm talking hit it out of the park only. If we can hit it out of the park, your mindset's ready, your business fits our solutions, then we're going to say, oh, you want to talk about coaching. So we have an honest approach to qualifying, because if the one thing I learned, Randy, in business, we could put anyone in our business. They all want it, but there's only a certain handful of people that actually want to put the work in. So I find my tribe. So it has to be not motivated by GCI. Yeah. Has to be someone that's so busy, but they deeply care about their family. They're not getting holidays. They're not free on holidays. They're frustrated because there's this rat race. I got a guy that just joined the program. He does $400,000 or $500,000 a year, no assistant, no nothing, 25 years in the business. Within the first 3 weeks, we did a re-engagement campaign. That's one of the first steps we do with them. We get it's beautiful. It's a wax sealed letter, some things in it, beautiful letter written to trigger some psychological connection. That goes out to the entire base, but we actually require them to hire an assistant to get that work done. And then what happened was he got a listing from someone instantly because it was 10 years ago that he hasn't talked to them in 10 years. We pulled up, he goes, program's paid for. So that's what we do. And then what it is though, is these guys are busy. They're great service guys. Sales is not their biggest issue. It's systems and freedom. So sales, for sure, we need to add some passive marketing because the goal is to go away and your business grows. So my program, structure wise, we've got my main head coach is not a real estate agent. She is a psychologist focused person. Wow. I thought, why would I hire a real estate? I got it. How much more knowledge do you need? I'm the guy. You're the guy. And I've got lots of people I've coached that now can be coaches and mentors. So Elaine, she's getting her master's in the neuroscience. No, what is it? Elaine is getting her master's in psychology of neuroscience and mental health. Wow. Her singular job is to help people not get stuck. Now, that's the difference between our coaching program and everyone else's. We just want 1% forward. We want action taken. So we build every single thing on that you'll do what you already know. And so that's where Wednesday sessions, Friday sessions with us, we've got like 30 hours of actual pull off the shelf systems that they can implement. We've got a room 3 times a month that we coach their assistant. So they don't actually have to do that. We teach their assistant how to be amazing for the agent. And we have retreats and all this other stuff. But the goal is to put in systems and get their mind from hustler to business owner. So a lot of what we do is systems for sure. After play systems are a whole step-by-step process and operational systems. But that's secondary to getting you thinking like a CEO. So you can actually manage. So we help hire, bring in teams and all this, but we don't believe in mega teams. Don't believe in it. They're not our people. We believe that creates massive expenses, massive work, and a lot more problems. 2 part-time assistants only, never full-time, and 2 buyer's agent. That's $1 million company that gives you freedom, lifestyle, and amazing experience. And it's the most profitable. So
who wants $1 million business, 2 part-times, 2 full-time buyer agents.
That's it.
If this is of interest to you and you think this book is helpful, message me, DM me Ben's book, and I will get you Ben's book. Ben's book, that's all you need to do is DM me Ben's book, and I'll get you Ben's book. The Richest Real Estate Agent, How to Build a 7-Figure Business Without Sacrificing Relationships. And it's all about relationships. Ben, I want to thank you for being a great, great guest, giving so much value. And of course, we can find you everywhere on social.
For sure.
On the net.
What I'll do for you as well is I'll create a link where you can have a clarity call.
Clarity call, okay.
It's a clarity call. We unpack what's working, what's not working. We have an amazing process, kind of like a really friendly interrogation. So if you want a quick look,
interrogation, I like that.
A quick look at your business is something I missed in my life.
Yeah.
Like to say, like, Randy, let's just unpack this really quickly. Where are you at? What's going on? As a lonely real estate agent, like people all have these opinions or they're selling you something or this. We're just going to look at client experience, look at client acquisition, business systems, mindset, and lifestyle. We do it in a way we unpack it. It's a 20-minute call. That's a great way to get to know us. And we're going to deliver some really good value on that call. And I think I'll give you a special link for that. And then so you can actually share that.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you for being a guest on Return on Life podcast. Really appreciate your insight and your wisdom on all things. Thank you, Ben.
Thanks, Randy. Love it, man. Cheers.
Awesome.